All right, thank you. So I'd like to call this meeting to order and acknowledge that we are in Treaty 1 territory, the home and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, Innu, Cree, and Dakota peoples, and in the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation in Treaty 3 territory. My name is Mark Boreski. I will be chairing the session today. With me on the panel are Narinder Pal Danjal and Linda McFadden. We have as our assessor today, Matthew Harling, and the administrative personnel, Tristan Breeden. To the Zoom participants of the hearing, please note you are placed in the waiting room until your property is called upon. When it is your turn, you will be admitted into the meeting. Kindly follow along on the City of Winnipeg's Board of Revision YouTube channel for the hearing process. Once the host admits you into the hearing, please close or mute your YouTube player. You will then be permitted to speak with respect to your property. Once your hearing is concluded, you can leave the hearing. We will be hearing applications for revision of the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we will limit discussion to those matters. The statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council and is independent of it and the City Administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the Board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of King's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the Board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the points of appeal with your property to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions that the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all of the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all the applications have been heard, and the Board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the Board's decision by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. Today on our docket, we'll be hearing item 1 only, the remainder having been withdrawn. Mr. Breeden, could you please affirm the assessor's and the applicant's testimony?
Mr. Assessor, please state your full name.
Matthew Harling.
You affirm the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Perfect. Mr. Applicant, you may stand. Please state your full name.
My name is Darren Van Winsberg.
Beautiful. Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Perfect. You may be seated.
So, Mr. Harling, could you proceed when you are ready with 85 Peace Road?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the file number is 24-1105. The roll number is 010018410000. The address as indicated is 85 Peace Road, and the owner is DVW Property Development Incorporated. The 2025 roll year, based on the reference date of April 1st, 2023, is assessed at $638,000. If we look below on page 1 of my brief, we'll see some information about the property. You can see here there are 2 buildings in the property. We have 2 premises on file, and they're 1-story building. The actual year and effective year built range from 1959 to 1991, and we are using an overall effective year built of 1964. The wall heights range from 10 to 23 feet. We have a land area of 119,286 square feet with a plan area of 5,401 square feet. This gives us a land plan area of 22.09, and we have a total leasable area of 5,401 square feet. If we turn to page 2 of my brief, we'll see the request for information received previously. We did not receive the 2022 mailer, but however, that was due to a sale. So you can see below on page 2, the sale, the property sold on August 3rd, 2022 for $120,000. If you look on the bottom of page 2, there are no leases in place. Okay, so we go to page 3 of my brief. We'll just see subject property location. So this is located just south of Wilkes Avenue. Just kind of just a very zoomed out image to kind of get where it's located. We turn to page 4 of my brief. This is just a kind of an aerial view. Again, a bit harder to see because it's just zoomed out, but this is kind of roughly the area it's located, again, just south of Wilkes Avenue. Okay, page 5 of my brief. This is the pictures of the subject. So this is the outline of the subject property. So you can see where it's located here. Just a little box here, zoomed out just to get a context of how it's situated. If we turn to page 6 of my brief, this is a further photo of the subject. I will note that you can kind of see here that obviously there's it's essentially to get access to it, doesn't have a main access road. It's like a back road, so and it is gravel, so or kind of a gravel road. So just mindful of that. And then you can kind of see where it's situated, and you can kind of see some of the buildings that are situated. So you have the main building here, and then you have a little bit of a building at the top left-hand corner, and there's an antenna tower there as well, which you'll see. This continues on page 7, just a further photo, just from a different aerial view. Page 8 of my brief, just another photo of the subject, just the buildings and just the land itself. Page 9, this is another photo just from the rear of the subject. And you can see the building, all the buildings on the property. Page 10, this is just another photo just from facing the property. You can kind of see all the buildings. And then this is continued on page 11, just a zoomed in photo of the main building here we have. And then lastly on page 12, just see a picture of the storage building here with the radio or antenna tower here, radio tower here. So, okay, so if we turn to page 13 of my brief, we'll just see the income workup. So as I indicated, there are 2 premises. We have the 2, the first one's 4,876 square feet at a rate per square foot 861. And then we have a 525 square feet for another area, which gives us a total leasable area of 5,401 square feet. So we have an overall blended rent of $9.04 a square foot, which gives us a potential rent of $48,812. Lastly, we are then applying 4.5 for vacancy, which then gives us an effective gross income of $46,615. We're allowing 3% for expenses, as well as $4 per square foot for shortfall, which gives us an overall net operating income of $44,245. And then lastly, we're applying a capitalization rate of 7.35%, which gives us a capitalized value of $601,973,000. And then lastly, we have additional building value of $36,000. This would be for the radio or the tower is essentially where the building value we've added for this. So, so this gives us $638,000 for an overall estimated value. If we turn to page 14 of my brief, we'll just see some of the rent comparables. I'm not going to spend too much time on these because I'm going to be mindful that these comparables are all within the city, and these comparables I think would be superior to the subject. So, obviously, where the subject's located, there's just going to be no comparables out there. So I'm very mindful of that. So I just want to let the board know I'm mindful of that. I believe these would be superior. In terms of lease start dates, they range from October 2018 to July 2022, 3 to 10 years. Lease layers range from 646 square feet to 7,200. Wall heights range from 11 feet to 21 feet. Effective year builds range from 1970 to 1980. And the net rents in place range from $986 square foot to $16. Okay, if we turn to page 15 of my brief, this is just the cap rate information. So we've applied again cap rate of 7.35%. So that falls within the 20th to 8th percentile of the city for cap rates we apply for properties under industrial section. And then also, if you look at some of the outside sources, it falls within the range they've indicated as well. Page 60 of my brief is just some municipal assessment active group information. And then lastly, page 17 here. This is just essentially an older, just a site plan we had on file, just to get a kind of idea of the areas. So this is the 4,800 square feet is the one building here, the larger building. The trailer building here is the 525 square feet. And then, as I indicated, the tower is the additional building value we assessed at $36,000. That being said, I believe that concludes my presentation, and I'm open for questions. Thank you.
Good, thank you very much. Mr. Applicant, do you have questions about this material? This is not an opportunity for you to present your evidence, but rather to ask questions for clarification about the material that Mr. Harling has just presented. Do you have any questions?
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. So like you mentioned, the examples are much superior. Is it safe to say that all the examples that are listed here are basically either on a concrete street or a paved street? They all have running sewer and water in those areas. They would have natural gas available. They're insulated buildings, I'm assuming, with gas heat. They're all in prime locations when you have, they'd all have fire hydrants in that area also, I'm assuming. And then there'd be no weight restrictions in the springtime to get in and out of there. Is that safe to say that all those comparisons have those features?
No, I don't disagree with you. Yeah, I believe these would be superior. Correct. Yeah.
Thank you. That's all my questions for now.
Okay. Ms. McFadden, do you have questions?
I don't have any further questions. Thank you.
Mr. Danjal?
No, I don't. My question has been answered already. Thank you.
Okay. I just want to go back to the photos here. So the main building itself, I noticed on your first page you had quite a spread in terms of age built. Is the main building from 1959?
Yeah, I believe that building was built in '59, and I think the other building, the one in the back, where the 525 square feet, that would be of the newer space. Majority of the built area is older, so yeah, that's why we used an effective year built of 1964.
Okay. And your additional value, is it for the tower alone or the tower and the trailer?
No, the trailer is the 525 square feet.
Yeah.
And the
Oh,
main,
okay, yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so additional value.
Is the 30.
And is there a value for the fencing?
You know what? I believe that's included in yeah, fencing in the tower. That's all included in that. Yeah, so
That's in there. Okay. What is the main building used for?
you know, I apologize. I never got to reach out previously before the properties. So I unfortunately don't have the information. So I'm hoping it gets more. I'm sure the appellant will have more information on that. Yeah. So.
So you're doing the tower on cost?
Correct.
And what's the source of the cost?
I would be using like the Marshall and Swift. So.
Okay. Is there rent received for that portion of the property?
You know what? I don't know currently. Prior years from a previous owner, we did have some mailers that did indicate there was some income being generated, but I don't know currently. So.
Okay. And so this sold, let me go back to the beginning here. It sold for 120,000 August of 2022. So about half a year prior to the reference date. What was happening with values at that time? From previous evidence, we have heard from assessors that during the reference period that we're dealing with, the values were rising and then they started to fall. Is that your understanding as well?
You know, I can't speak for what the other assessors said. I mean, it really depends. I mean, there's a lot of factors that would go into that. So I guess I can't really kind of give I don't have the answer to that. Yeah. So.
Do you know by how much industrial properties themselves rose between the two reference periods and on average?
I mean, I don't want to give an exact figure. You know, it kind of varies. Unfortunately, there's so many factors. So anywhere from like, let's say, if I had to give an estimate, 10 to 30% in that range, maybe something like that. So, but again, like I said, I'm not. You know, I don't have the exact information, so I don't want to kind of. Yeah, but somewhere in that range is what I'd say. Somewhere in that range, but it varies. There's a lot of factors that would you know,
Okay.
vary on that. So
And for the rent that you used, you used $8.61 on the main large building, 13 on the site of the tower. Your comps, you said, were not really that comparable. So where did these numbers come from?
as with all our properties, they are model derived. So it would be looking at properties of similar size and age. So obviously, I understand there are factors that would be, you know, difficult. You know, I mean, location obviously is another factor too. So, but you know, obviously, you know, I'm mindful of the fact of, you're right, there's not going to be comparables of properties of similar to this out there. So
Right. And have you been to the property?
no, unfortunately, I've not physically been to it. No. So,
Okay.
but I know it's, like I said, it's, as you can see, it does have some. It's not like it doesn't have a main road. It's, you know, a back road and stuff like that. So
Right.
I'm mindful of that though. Yeah. So
Right. So if these rents are model derived, that's modeled based on the average for the type, and you wouldn't know whether this building was actually average or not.
in terms of like average of like the condition, or like the average like
Condition, yes.
Yeah, like I said, it's, you know, like I said, the overall year is 1964. So yeah, it would be of older condition, definitely, you know. So
Okay. All right, that's all my questions. So, Mr. Applicant, could we have your information, please?
Yes, okay, sorry about that. Okay, so the building is way below average, in my opinion. So the access to get to 85 Peace Road, it basically, you take Liberty, then you do a right turn onto Peace Road, and it comes to a dead end. Approximately 700 lineal feet before it reaches my property, which I have to maintain that road. The road is horrible condition, really poor condition. There's no sewer service, like no water service, no sewer service. It's basically box property where this building is situated. The street access to the property is also restricted to 65% for 2 months a year for weight restrictions. So that really it's very hard to rent a place like that, where basically if you have anything bigger than a car or a half-ton truck, you're overweight coming down that road at a 65%. So the road, the Peace Road is a unpaved, unserviced road. So, and then the road coming into my building is basically, it's a mud road, and we put some gravel to cover up the mud, and the potholes, and yeah, but every spring, it's a challenge out there. It's a real challenge. The water, there's no drainage there, none, zero. So there's no fire hydrants out that way, for that building. No street lights, or lighting of any kind. The only lighting there is, I have one that's rented from Hydro, that's on the post. So I have to maintain that property, the road, to access it year round, whether it's a snow clearing or for gravel. So the biggest problem that we have, for this, I mean, there's been a lot of development that's happened on Liberty with the new homes that have come up. They've built up all their property. So back in the days, this water could flow across the farmer's field on the other side, basically on the east side of that property, could get through it through the Wilkes ditch. What's happened here in the last probably 8 years, the farmer to the west side, and I wrote this in the statement what I provided, he drains, my guess is 600 acres. Is it 600? Maybe it's, I don't know, but it's all that property on the west side. And it goes like up, and there's actually a culvert, I believe, underneath the rail tracks that drains even more water. So they've swaled all that water to come towards the ditch at Peace Road. The culvert just cannot handle. The culverts on Peace Road are undersized. So in what year? So there's 1, 2, 3. There's 3 houses on the south side of Peace Road, and they're all undersized. That road is underwater in the springtime. Some years maybe only 4 inches, But I've been there where it's up to the running boards of my truck, put it that way. So 6 to 8 inches of water that can be on that road in the spring. Is it there all summer? No, but it's there. Nobody wants to be renting space if the conditions are such as that. So it's basically, it's low, it's swampy, there's no drainage. Like I said, I take care of all this snow removal. Again, all the comparables that you have on the list here, most of them had bus service, because I just kind of scrolled some notes on most of them. You know, if you're renting out space, you could at least have bus service. We don't have any of that. We have no garbage pickup, no recycling out there. There's no natural gas to the property. The natural gas, I believe it ends at the end of Peace Road, and they will not pull that pipe any further to come around the corner. Same thing as with the Wi-Fi. Rogers or Bell refused to bring that wire, so it's about 700 feet of driveway. You know, basically it's a farm trail to get in. They refuse to. They will not even entertain. Bell's been out there so many times because they're doing all the promos and stuff. By the time they would get that cable to the building, it could be another 300 feet. They're just not getting involved. Again, so the biggest thing is the drainage out there. The water does not flow uphill, and it's low. It is very low in that area. Even till midsummer, we get a lot of what we call frost boils within just the parking lot area there. So we're always digging them out. It's a very tough building to rent. I do have some insurance on the building. The stipulations say no woodworking or welding allowed in the building. So there's none of that. Nobody can rent it for those reasons. There's no running water in the building. There's no sewer in the building. Even the cistern there was a cistern there at one time, but that cistern, it's cracked and it's broken. So we've just, the pumps are disconnected. It's basically cold storage is what it is. So the building for the most part is not insulated and basically just a wooden shell with no heat, so cold storage, and basically it's situated on like farmland, right? Something we'd see on the farm back in the days. The other thing is, I guess when the building was built in the late 50s or 60s, whenever that was, it was built low, and I guess as everybody was building up around, they built up. This building actually sits 12 to 14 inches low. So in the springtime, we get water, we get a rain from the east, which the rain normally comes and drives from the east. There's water in that building, so there's no proper drains. We got a couple of sump pits that we just catch that water and pump it out. So yes, that's that is, they had it on the sheet here as that was a metal structure. That's all wooden structure. I have a few pictures here. I don't know if I'm allowed to show these pictures to the secretary, just so you can see the structure, just so I can prove to you that it's not an insulated building. So here's the front of the building.
Were these, sorry, if I may cut you off, were these submitted by?
They were not.
Okay, we can't have any new evidence submitted at time of, unfortunately.
Okay.
Yeah.
But these were just to show that it's open, no insulation on the
Right.
walls here. Yeah, okay. So, so that was that, their portion, so building. Yeah, so like all the locations that you have provided here for comparables, like those are class A, rental leaseable rent or lease properties, newer buildings insulated with gas heat, great locations on some of these. I mean, I had to look at some of the assessment values of those the other day, and I'd be more than happy to trade my building for any one of these ones that are in that range. I mean, some of these ones, they are assessed, the one at 530 Century, the assessment was over 17 million on that. But some of those ones on Scotland, and I mean, that was the best bang for the buck, those ones in there, or even the one on Spruce at 700,000, or the one in Chevrolet, those are reasonable, but there's no way that I can ever pull. There's nothing, basically, so what I use that building for, it's cold storage. I have some, I still have a farm, so we have some hay bales in the building, that type of stuff. We keep a couple of garden tractors out there, ATV. I have, Bobcat to clear snow. you know, we could have a trailer in there type of thing, just to keep it out of the snow for the winter months. Yes, so that pretty well summarizes it, but yeah, so the bottom line is I did pay the 120,000. They have it assessed for 638. Even when I went to purchase the property, they were trying to sell it in that 150 range, and they just couldn't move it. So then the owners got a hold of me. I just want to bring up about the Rogers Tower. I get zero rent out of that tower. When I purchased the property, I just want to be honest and straight up with everything. There was a 99-year lease that was signed for that being on the property, and there is zero income that comes out of that. I believe that's everything that I have to say at this point.
All right, thank you. Mr. Harling, do you have questions?
Just, yeah, you know, I appreciate you, a lot of the information there was helpful going forward. So, so I understand, yeah, you said with the tower, there's no income generating around it. So is like the tower even not working at this point, or is it not even, is it just like, yeah, like you said, yeah, I'm just curious, is the tower even functional at this time, I guess, or no, or?
Yes, I do. I'm very aware of what's there. So the tower still is functional.
Okay.
But the previous owner, when the land was sold, it came with, like, they had signed, I forget what year it was, but there was a 99-year lease signed. And if they got money for that, the old owner, maybe that's what it was, I'm not sure, but I get zero rent on that for 99 years. I mean, maybe it's 96 or 97 years now, but it's basically that property sits, that tower and the fenced area sits on my property, and I get zero revenue.
Okay, so, okay, no, appreciate that. Thank you. Just give me some context on that. And so I mean, exactly, you know, when you mentioned the sale price, I'm not disputing that. So I guess when you purchased it, was it like through like the open market, or did you, like, I'm just curious, like how did the sale come across, I guess, or was it just something you just found out, I guess, or just?
Yes,
just...
and the owner had actually, because I live on Liberty, is my address.
Okay.
Yeah, so I live down the street, so the owner, they had it for sale, I guess on the private market, or I'm not sure how it was. But then he asked me what I thought it was worth, and I says, I need to know what you're asking. I'm not throwing a price down on it. And then they were trying to do that 150. And I just says, guys, there's no way. The way the condition of the building, there's no services out there, and it's underwater. I mean, you can, like, some years that road's not underwater there, but in the springtime we get lots of snow. With that farmer, that water that comes through there is something else. They're draining, basically. They're draining from a lot of that property from the west, but they're basically draining from Wilkes, that whole section from Wilkes all the way to, I think it's called the 4 Mile Road, which is from the RM of McDonald's. And just sending all that water to come down Peace Road, which has to then get to Liberty and then flow down to Howe. So the city has done a great job on getting the water kind of moving somewhat, because it's very flat and it's hard to move the water there, but it's got nowhere to go. It's just, when so much comes in, it's like what we'd see maybe at the Forks or something, when the river starts coming up, is the hardest thing, two hardest things to stop is fire and water. When that water's coming, there's no stopping it.
No, of course. Okay, no, I appreciate that. Thank you for the question. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Mr. Danjal, do you have questions?
Just one question. When you purchased the building itself, were you aware that there was no income that you'll be getting from that leased property that was sold or leased out to Rogers?
Yes, I was fully aware of that, correct, yes.
Okay. And as far as you're concerned, all you're using is just cold storage and that's it?
Yeah, so if you had to, there's one little area like you see in the front corner on the one diagram on page 17, that office area.
Yeah.
So those walls are somewhat insulated, but they're really not. So if you had to maybe plug a heater in, because we do have electric there, just if you had to maybe work on a chainsaw or a backpack blower or something, you know, you can plug a little heater in to keep your hands warm while you work on it. But other than that, you may as well be working outside, because those walls, the wind just blows right through them. The building's very shifty, it moves around, so we do not ever heat that building. If that heater's on, it's only on for a short period of time, and an hour maybe, and that's it, because it's just throwing money away.
the only question I had. Thank you very much.
Ms. McFadden, do you have questions?
So the trailer that's on beside the tower, that's all part of the lease, so there's no rental for the trailer as well?
That's correct. So on page 17, where the, somehow this drawing here is really not to scale. That's on here, but it's very close to what is here. Yeah, so there's no revenue at all. So where that shows like basically the fenced in area there, the fence is shown more like a rectangle where it says the Rogers Tower. I believe that fence is more just rectangular. I don't know if it bumps out on the front like that. The tower, what they have the tower showing in the front with the X there. The tower actually sits on the back corner of there where it says the chain link fence. So the chain link fence, so it's pretty close to what the picture shows. It's just that the tower is on the back side. That's what that is. So the tower sits more to the west, to the northwest corner.
Okay, thank you. That's all my question.
Thank you.
With respect to the road, you said you maintain it yourself. So is Peace Road just the east-west part that we see in the photos and not the north-south that leads up to your property? Or is that actually Peace Road as well?
East Road ends, it dead ends. You're correct. It goes east-west.
Yeah.
As soon as you take that right turn to go north, that's
Yeah.
just what we call farm road, dirt road, mud road. That's
Okay.
not East Road.
So it's a public right-of-way, but it's not actually maintained as a road by the city. You do that yourself. That's it?
Correct, yeah, so it's
Okay.
a public right of way only for the people that own the property onto that road, onto that area, because there's a lot of
Okay.
box property in that area.
Right.
So it's not set for everybody. It's like even that comes to a dead end.
Okay.
Like once you do that right turn, you go 700 feet. Then I got, there's this building that I purchased. Then there's another property there. And basically that part, there's another property on the north side of mine. And then he owns it behind the west side of what I own there. And then that road basically comes to a dead end.
Okay. You mentioned that there was some restrictions, like no woodworking. Can you repeat what you had told us, please?
So with the insurance, to have insurance on the building, the stipulations were no woodworking allowed within the building and no welding allowed within that building.
Ah.
I guess they're worried about it being an older wooden structure and welding. Well, we know what can happen with the sparks possibly.
Uh-huh.
And with woodworking, I'm just not sure what they're worried about there, but I guess maybe sometimes, I know there was a big fire maybe 3 years ago on Loudon Road. And I think it had something to do with, it was RJ Millwork at the time. And I guess maybe solvents and rags, if they're not disposed of or sealed properly, that a fire can break out, or I'm not sure. It was just stamped in the.
Okay. The construction of the building, is it wood rib?
Yes, it's like the old farm style, like I grew up
Yeah.
on the farm back in the day, so
Right.
we used to use like the Quonset, the rounded ones.
Okay.
So
All
yeah,
right.
pretty popular back in, the 60s, 70s, we had them on our farm back in the day, and
Right.
this one's getting tired already too, so I mean, that's why it's not insulated. I should have maybe submitted these pictures before. I didn't know how this all worked, but I mean, if somebody wants to come and view the property, I have no problems showing this property that it's not insulated. And if you come in the spring, make sure you got your boots with you and a 4-wheel drive. So.
Well, that would be for the assessor and probably not us. So but,
Yeah.
thanks for the invitation.
Okay.
Okay, that's all my questions. So then that concludes this hearing. Thank you very much. Unless, is there anything else that anybody in retrospect wants to ask?
I'm good on my end, thank you.
Okay, good. Well, thank you very much.
Excuse me, I'd like to just add one more thing.
Yes.
And I think if I were to have to sell it, there's no way I'm getting anywhere near that money. And sometimes, because the tax bill is so expensive on this property right now, because I'm paying close to $10,000 on this property. That is really just for storage. I don't know if you see that there, but I think it was $9,600 a year is what I'm paying on that property. I'd have a hard time getting my money back, I think, at this point. if I had to sell it and somebody sees this tax bill, even if the tax bill was lower, I mean. Nobody really wants to buy swampland, they're not paying a premium for it, that's for sure, and it's very wet and swampy there. So,
Okay.
yeah, that's about it. I just think I'd have a hard time to get my money back at this point. I mean, I guess if I put it out there, I probably would sell. But it's a matter of when it would take the right person to purchase it also, right? So, yeah, that's all I have to say for now.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. That then concludes this matter on the agenda. And it being the only item, our hearing is now concluded. We are done. We will give you a order through the mail once the mail works as soon as possible. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you everyone for your time.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Have a great day. Bye for now.